Hey, R here. Last time we took a look at Logitech's G710S, which is their wireless gaming mouse. Today we'll be taking a look at Logitech's G710, which is their mechanical gaming keyboard. Starting off, there isn't much inside the box this time. Just the keyboard, user documentation, and warranty information, and the plastic palm rest that's detachable. The dimensions of the G710, which are roughly 20 inches in length, 9 inches in height with the palm rest, and about 2 inches tall with the front feet extended. The keyboard also weighs about 4.8 pounds and comes with a 2-year hardware warranty. If you're interested in picking one of these up, you can find the keyboard for about $80 to $100 online. The G710, which comes in 2 versions, each one using different key switches, which are the G710 and the G710 Plus. The G710 comes with Cherry MX blue key switches, and the Plus version comes with Cherry MX brown switches. I won't go too into depth on the differences between the different types of mechanical switches, but typically Cherry MX Reds are usually referred to as being fast and responsive and great for gaming. Blues are usually best for typing with a nice tactile and audible response in pressing each key. And brown is a good balance between the two with less of an audible response. I'm sure that's a pretty broad generalization of the different key types, but for the sake of this review, I like to focus more on the keyboard and the 2 types of switches the G710 comes in. The Cherry MX Blue key switches have an actuation force of 50 grams and 2.2 millimeters of travel, while the G710 Plus with brown switches has 45 grams of force, but only 2 millimeters of travel. The biggest difference between the two is that brown switches are supposed to be much quieter and softer than blues, with no audible feedback, but it still comes down to whichever type feels best for you. The keyboard is a full 110 keys with anti-ghosting and 26 key rollover, allowing you to press almost any number of keys plus the Control, Alt, and Shift keys in any order. And each key has been tested for a durability of 50 million key presses. Starting from the very left, you can see the bank of 6 G keys down the left side, and the 3 memory profiles for each across the top, giving you a total of 18 individual functions for games and applications. The 4th button, labeled MR, allows you to record macros on the fly without having to leave your game and save new macros to any one of the 6 G keys. The next button over is the Game Mode key, which allows you to lock the Windows key from accidental bumps while gaming, so you're not thrown out of your game and dumped back to the desktop while in the middle of having fun. Each key is individually illuminated with a single white LED that you can control in the next set of buttons. Logitech was thoughtful enough to include gaming keys for W, A, S, and D, as well as the arrow keys. And these sets of keys can be turned on or off separately from the rest of the keyboard, as well as 4 levels of brightness for both sets. The first of the 2 keys controls the gaming keys, and the second controls the lights for the rest of the keyboard. Moving along, you can see the bank of media keys included on the keyboard, which are play, pause, stop, seeking backwards, and forwards. Volume and mute are separated from the rest and also rest just underneath the bank of lights, showing you when you've turned gaming mode on or off, caps lock, your number key lock, and your scroll lock. I've always liked keyboards that feature a volume dial instead of buttons or having to use function keys to change the volume on keyboards. The dial is very nice and smooth and quickly allows you to change your volume without drawing too much focus away from whatever you're doing at the time. And that pretty much covers everything on the Logitech G710, except for the inclusion of the USB port on the top of the keyboard. It would have been nice if they included audio pass-through as well, like on some of their other keyboards, but it's still nice that they've included a USB port, so you can quickly plug in a flash drive, or your mouse, or even the micro receiver for other Logitech peripherals, like the G700S wireless mouse. I'm still a fan of the Logitech gaming software, but there aren't as many changes you can make here, except for creating macros on the G keys. I usually prefer to make macros in the software instead of on the fly, as you can really take your time and make them as complex as you need them. And it's still just as easy to import your games and make separate macros for each game without a whole lot of effort. One extra nifty feature included is the heat map sensor, which allows you to see how often keys are used and how long each key was pressed. I'm not sure how much, if at all, I'll end up using this feature personally, but I can see it being helpful, showing you which keys you might be able to make macros for to cut down on the frequency of keys pressed for certain things, and reducing them down to a single press of a button with a macro. And that's my review of the Logitech G710. I really like the keyboard, and I'm glad there's more of a matte finish to it in spots, unlike my Black Widow from Razer. as scuffs and fingerprints are really visible on that keyboard, even if you take a lot of time and effort to keep your keyboard nice and clean. Both the Razer Black Widow and the Logitech G710 use Cherry MX Blue switches, but I found that the G710 isn't quite as loud as the Black Widow. But the keys do feel a little tougher to actuate. That could just be the age of my keyboard, as I've had the Black Widow for some time now, and I'm pretty sure even this older model still has 50 grams of actuation force per key. I will say that it did take a little bit of time getting used to the differences with this keyboard, but I'm still pretty happy with it. But you'll still have to see which type of mechanical switch feels best for you. Before I finish up the review entirely, I'd like to give a quick sample of what the keyboard sounds like and kind of compare that to my Razer Black Widow. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the Logitech G710, and I want to mention that the keyboard and mouse are both part of a mobile setup that I'll be reviewing for a laptop in the next week or two, so stay tuned for that. And as always, you can like and subscribe to my channel for more product reviews, and feel free to leave any comments and questions you have about any of the products that I've reviewed so far, and stay tuned for more content in the future. I'll see you guys later.